teachers, church, your faith are your most trusted source of comfort. But what happens when that world is shattered?
He was a preacher who couldn't resist temptation.
The priest is accused of killing Sister...
Shit, you want to be sexy? You want to look sexy?
So all of your clients met their goals in 8 weeks?
Well, except Sammy. Car accident took him in week 7. It still haunts me.
You're unbelievable.
It's like my good friend Damon Wayans Jr. says.
You know Damon Wayans Jr.?
Yeah, it's not a big deal. If you're not living life, you're dying death.
We say sex workers now, but when Jimmy Swaggart was picked up in 1991, they were still using the term
trying to go 88 miles an hour and get into a time warp.
We're doing a sting operation, investigating and recording for our podcast, 7 Deadly Sinners.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Oh my God. Great. Super stoked to have you for real, Rachel. Again.
Thank you so much. Your lighting's so good there. Do you have like a ring light going on?
Oh my God. If I showed you what I have, it's a piece of dirt.
That's so funny. What is it?
Well, I'm gonna show it to you. All right. Secrets for the audience. Look at this.
Oh, I have one of those. I don't know
It's
if I have
like-
it here, but I should use something like that.
It cost me like maybe $15, I think.
Yeah, they're cheap. I think I got one for free from like a teeth whitening company or something. I don't know.
Oh my God, Rachel. So yeah, so happy to have you. I mean, look, I reviewed our episode last time. Last time we talked was in May. You were still in the foodie part of the pandemic, where half of us were making breads. You were becoming an expert in potato chips, right? And
Still
you were
am.
getting still. Oh, really? Okay, great. You must be like a dissertation now. Anyway, and yeah, you were getting ready to launch a new podcast project. Like that was like, you gave us that little hint.
Yeah.
And so much has happened since then, Rachel. But anyway, let's start with this. How is life in Palm Springs? Because you moved. How are things going?
It's great. I mean, when you say it like that, I'm like, oh man, it does sound like life in Palm Springs sounds like I've retired and I'm an old person. But because that is, I mean, they say you're either gay or you're gray here because that's kind of like the vibe. But it's good. I mean, it's been good to get out of LA and not pay an insane amount for an apartment for a city that's largely shut down.
Right.
When everything I'm doing for work right now is remote, and kind of always was, I guess, with touring when that was happening. So just, I don't know, it's been nice. My parents have a place here, so I've like returned to baby Huey status. I feel it's like a little shameful, but
No shame.
But it's nice. I mean, there's literally no reason to be in LA right now.
No.
I mean, it's so different, and I'm really glad I didn't buy a home there because I was looking like right before this, and
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's true. I was actually there like last month or so. I braved
You
it out.
stayed in Janis Joplin's hotel room.
Yes, and we'll get to that. That's crazy, but it was crazy to realize, man, like LA with a pandemic, there's not a lot going on, right? Like,
Did you notice all the boarded up places? And it's just like different vibes.
Troubadour all boarded up. Sunset Boulevard is like nothing there. Starbucks. I went for a coffee in Starbucks, and it was like on the street, and it was like, what? I can't even sit down. Like, oh my! Like everything was really frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. And especially like if you like to work from, like, I mean, today in Palm Springs, it's cooling down, but it's still like, it's like a high of 80 or something today. And I went to go work in a restaurant to write an episode of 7 Deadly Sinners. And I was like, I sat there for an hour working. And then after a while, I was like, I'm just too hot. I just can't sit outside and do this right now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and we'll get to the 7 Deadly Sinners in a second. But what are your plans for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, like New Year's? What are you thinking?
I'll be here just because this is where my parents always come anyways. They leave the rainy weather in Oregon and come to the desert. So yeah, I'll be here. I mean, it's advised not to travel. So, I mean, like New Year's is probably going to be here as well. It's just a lot of hanging out.
That's a lot of everyone saying, giving the middle finger to 2020, right?
Yeah, honestly, but that will feel good, even though I don't know that it's going to get immediately better, and I think that people shouldn't plan for that because then they
Mhm.
might be disappointed. But yeah,
Yeah, but I hear you. I think psychologically, it may do something to people. I don't know why.
yeah,
You know?
it could. I think it will feel really good, but I guess it's one of those things where it's like, don't get your hopes up that it's going to change that day. You know,
Yeah, yeah. On
January
January 1st.
1 might not be. Yeah,
Right. Absolutely.
yeah.
Right.
What
Oh
are
my
your
God.
plans? Are you staying in? You're in Florida, right? Miami.
You're cracking me up. Same.
Yeah.
Everyone is just chilling. Normally, you would go to some resort or something, some pool in the Fountain Blue or whatever, but not this year, man.
Yeah.
This year it's just like
Mhm.
survive to January 1st, and
Yeah.
then you can celebrate. You
Yeah.
know.
There you go. That's
Oh my
funny.
God, Rachel. So let's talk about your podcast for a second because, Be Here for a While has continued to thrive, still thriving, always beautiful, always kicking ass. People love it. The mix. Again, one week you'll have the 90s playlist by Rachael O'Brien. The next one you'll have how to start a business from scratch.
Mhm.
So your baby's still going strong and people love it.
Thank you.
It's great. Absolutely. But your newish project, which you told us about in May, I had no idea what you had under your, the ace that you had in your pocket, Rachel. It's, Seven Deadly Sinners, for the audience. You announced it on our show very vaguely, but I think you're up to 19 episodes now.
Yeah.
Um, Up to 19 episodes. But first, I have to tell you, I am flabbergasted by the quality of production, the
Thank you.
script, the narration, the investigation, the whole package, Rachel. I am so impressed. Wow.
Thank you so much. That means absolutely everything because it's been an incredible amount of work. So that feels really good to hear. I really appreciate that.
No, absolutely. So I mean, now that I know what it is, like, how did the idea for this come about, Rachel? Like, when did this start?
I basically I wanted to do a true crime podcast because I'm really into true crime, which that only started maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I was like, God, I want to do one of these, but I didn't want to tell the same stories other people have told. And I also knew that if I didn't narrow it down, I'd be all over the map, kind of like Be Here for a While is. And I
Right.
think I needed to make a narrow concept in order to not be an ADD psycho. And so I was running through ideas, and it wasn't necessarily like at first it wasn't necessarily just going to be like true crime in the sense of like murder or any. And actually, even the first season of Seven Deadly Sinners wasn't really like murderous at all. It was more just like scam artists. But I was kind of bouncing like between like weird ideas of like scam artists or like weird phenomenons, and I was like, "Ah, I gotta narrow." And I was telling my mom the idea, and my mom was like, you should do something because my sister lives in the South. She was like, you should do something on like the hypocritical, scandalous preachers, and I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's great.
Yeah.
And so I started the first season with just like televangelists. For the most part, there was a few. There was Warren Jeffs who stole a bunch of money and was a pedophile, but and then there was Hosanna Church. But for the most part, it was um, televangelists.
Hmm.
And then for the second season, I was like, oh, I should up the ante a little bit. It's unbelievable how many preachers have committed murder. So the second season is, I mean, there's some that who haven't like technically been charged for murder, but there's so much going on that's like cult like activity.
Yeah.
That it's just a wealth of like I feel like it's going to be never ending. And I do branch off at one point on season 2 with something that is not a preacher necessarily, but kind of like a scandalous organization, like a reform school type of thing for kids that ends up just being incredibly abusive.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's I guess it's just debunking positions of authority that are oftentimes preachers.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, has a religious Bible cover
Yeah.
up to it, which makes it the more juicy. But I have to tell you, Rachel, I mean, these episodes are intense. Just to listen to them. I mean, I remember being riveted by the Robert Tilton one, the American televangelist and the former pastor of the Word of Faith Family Church in
Oh,
Texas.
okay.
in that suburb of Dallas. That was pretty, taking money from the vulnerable. That was pretty messed up. Jimmy Swaggart, you went and you actually drove to Indio, California, where he got caught with like a prostitute and like a bunch of porn. So you get into it. And as a consumer, I listen to them in like parts, Rachel. I need timeouts. So I wanted to ask you, like, are you okay? How's your mental, like how do you handle this, man?
I actually, because I was already listening to so much true crime, I'm like used to hearing the stuff and it doesn't bother me that much. I mean, sometimes it will make me like mad where I'm just like, and you can hear it in my scripts where like I make fun of the person. Like, if they're doing bad enough things to people, I'm at least going to make fun of them in some respect. But my boyfriend who edits, and he creates all the original music and he edits and does all the sound. He doesn't listen to a lot of true crime, so he gets like fully depressed at like listening to them. Like he's like, I can't. I'm like, why are you being so moody while we're recording? And he's like, because this is really heavy stuff. Like,
yeah,
like it's hard. It's hard for people that aren't used to it.
Yeah, listen, it's part of the relationship, dude.
Yeah,
it's part of the deal. I love it, and the feedback has been marvelous. I assume, right?
Yeah, for the most part, it's been awesome. Actually, I've had like. I got like my first like negative one about like people said like, there was this one person said like they like the concept of the show, but like I don't know if it was like as self-righteous as the people that I'm covering. And it is probably because I'm making fun of these people so much, but I'm okay with it. That review doesn't bother me.
No, you're like, it's the haters, whatever. Or the critics. It's fine.
And like I can't not make fun of someone that murdered their wife so they could have a mistress. Like, what do you want?
No. It's like, you know what? It's like if it was like a Rotten Tomatoes thing, you would be like a 96%. There's always like a couple like squash tomatoes there, just whatever, dude. You know what I mean? Exactly. So you're fine. That's great, Rachel. Right now I'm in the one of Jane Whaley, but that's a long one. I'm in episode 2.
It's 4 parts. I intended it for it to be 3, I thought, and then when I got to the 3rd episode, I was like, there's so much I want to cover that I can't not, and I don't want to make them 2-hour episodes. It's
amazing. But it's riveting stuff. So congratulations on that, and keep up the good work with the podcast. Well, let me tell you about Janis, because I think you'll appreciate it. Obviously, you're the guest, but
No, I really want to hear about it.
Well, I went to LA because I had to visit a friend. She turned 50, and I said, you know what, flights are cheap. We're gonna hang in your house, social distance, and I risked it, and I took the flight, whatever. But one night, for some reason, I was watching Janis Joplin. I was reading the Janis Joplin biography, and they mentioned the room where she died and the last 24 hours and all that stuff. And she stayed at the Highland Gardens.
I actually know a ton about it.
Yeah.
I know the.
And it was like, hey man, I'm going to LA next week. I'm gonna just call and see what's up with that. And I called, and they're like, yes, you can stay here. Is it available on my dates? One night, 1 out of like the 3 nights. I'm like, oh my God, it's annoying to move out of a hotel room and all that. But like, I'm like, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah.
I don't even, and it wasn't even cheap. It was like $400. It was like,
really?
I mean, like $380. Yeah. So it was like,
I mean, that's in a good location, I guess. I mean, it's Hollywood. I mean, I don't know what the rooms look like, but I know what the outside of it looks like. And it's not like overly nice.
No, it's definitely a ripoff. Like they definitely charge for that.
For her room.
Yes.
That's why. Yeah.
I probably could have stayed in.
Kind of disgusting of them.
Yes, exactly. But at this point, it shouldn't surprise you. Nothing should surprise you at this point, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, I thought it was going to be like a gimmick or whatever, or just like something to do off my list, like as a rock and roll fan, just something basic. I get to the hotel, and I do a little video, and they didn't change the carpets, they didn't change the tiles, and
everything's the same from when she died. Okay.
And I tell you what, Rachel, when you open the door, like you do feel the energy. You do feel an energy. Immediately you feel an energy in that room. It's like, well, I'm not gonna get a rest tonight. Like I'm not resting.
Really?
It's like heavy. It's like heavy.
Wow. Is it cold in certain spots or anything?
No, it was like warm.
Believe it's paranormal. Really?
It was like warm. And then you come into the room, and I took my dog, and my dog is like a mess. My dog is the pothead. He is like the chillest Yorkie in the world, and he was like barking like the whole thing.
Wow.
And and then you turn around and you see the nook in the corner next to the wall where she was found, and it was like, holy fuck, because it's like you see it.
Gosh.
You see it, and then you imagine her there with the syringes and the cash, and it's like, oh my god. And then you're like, okay, whatever. And then you go into the bathroom, you turn on the light, and that's when it hits you, because there's like a shrine there, Rachel, like a shrine. People from all over the world writing on the walls.
Oh wow.
People
I
come.
didn't know that.
Yeah, people leave T-shirts, bottles of Southern Comfort whiskey, memorabilia, letters, the whole thing, and it's all untouched. It's like sacred.
Wow. And no, that's so cool that everyone knows, like, we're not gonna mess with this.
No.
Wow.
There's like
I just got
beer.
Crazy goosebumps.
It's insane. It's insane. So I said, okay, I gotta leave a letter before I check out tomorrow. And that's what I did. Whatever. But so I put Janis. I hanged out in the room. I was just like weirded out. And then I went out to meet a friend for dinner. Came back, went to sleep, and then at 5 a.m. I woke up. I woke up like at 5, whatever. And there's a mirror in front of the bed. And like when I wake up, like I'm like half asleep, but I'm definitely awake. And she's right there in the mirror. She's levitating. She's in white. She's with her crazy hair.
Wow.
And she's just like looking at me, smiling ear to ear, Rachel.
That is a once in a lifetime. Like, that's insane.
Insane, man. And it was like 20 seconds, like not too little, but not too much, but just enough. You know what I mean?
When you say levitating, was she like horizontal then, or you just mean like she was levitating, like as in she was a spirit kind of?
Yeah, like a spirit kind of. Because the mirror was on top of the dresser in front of the bed. So if I was in the bed, I could see her like in the mirror, But she was so beautiful. She was so like stunning, and she was so happy. I've actually never seen a happier person in my life.
That's really cool to know, actually, that like in her afterlife, she's probably partying still.
And then afterwards it clicked on me, Rachel, like, yeah, like this chick is, everyone assumes she's, had the worst life and all that. But she's like in eternity in this room, and people come from all over the world and give her love.
Yeah.
And say how much they love her.
You couldn't ask for more, actually.
Right?
That is so cool. That's one of the coolest stories. I got full on goosebumps. Like, that is really cool.
So I feel like I can share it with you because you get it.
Oh yeah, I love her, and I watched the documentary on her. That was just, I mean, it's so sad. Is it? She writes that letter to the boyfriend, or I kind of forget a little bit about how it goes, but it's so tragic. But like, that's really cool to hear that she seems happy. But yeah, why would you not if you're being like in the afterlife? Like, I mean,
exactly. It's almost like she played it perfectly in a way, in a weird artistic way,
Yeah, that's really cool. I can't wait to tell people that story.
But anyway, Rachel, well, listen, you've been awesome with your time. Tell me a little bit about next year. Like, what are you thinking for next year? Like, what are your plans? Are you just kind of like seeing how it develops? What's going on?
I mean, seeing how it develops, but still like working hard on the podcast. I'm grateful that I can have a line of work that I can do from home, and that I still get to be creative with, and so still working super hard on that, and we'll see. I mean, I'm going to be in the desert until LA kind of picks back up again and touring, and I've even thought about maybe producing my own like outdoor comedy shows here. There's a lot of cool spaces where they do like farmers markets and stuff. So it's just about adapting and still being able to do what you love.
It's amazing, Rachel. It's amazing, like, to see like all the potential and everything you're building up towards. Like,
thank you.
Like, it's been so great connecting with you this year and seeing how you're growing and to see where you're going. It's like we can't wait.
Thank you so much. I feel like I need to have you on my podcast to tell the Janis Joplin story for sure and talk about your career. We'll schedule that, because like that story, like I haven't had chills like that in a long time. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Well, listen, Rachel, we love chatting with you, and thank you.
We wish you happy holidays, and stay safe.
You too. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right,
bye
bye-bye.